recovery, like properties of recovery mechanism. Properties of recovery mechanisms. First, the expansion of rock fluid. Expansion of rock and fluid. Some properties that is very specific to this recovery mechanism is like that. First, very weak mechanism. One of the weakest mechanism. The recovery up to 5%. The maximum recovery in the literature that have been reported is not just 5% of the initial interest, which means it's a very weak recovery mechanism. Another property of that appears happens in pressure above bubble point. This mechanism is mostly active above the bubble point. Below the bubble point, another recovery mechanism comes, which they are very, very important and work much better than this one. So this is just for above the bubble point. When the pressure reaches to the below the bubble point, we are interested to use another, like solution gas drive and other mechanism. The another ones, this is the one. Okay, the second mechanism is solution gas drive. Solution gas drive. So when they ask you what is the recovery mechanism, the maximum recovery mechanism in the first expansion of it's very small, it's just 5%. So for solution gas drive, if you use it correctly, remember if you use it correctly, the recovery efficiency is between 5 to 30%. Up to 30% recovery you can get by this recovery mechanism. So it's much higher. This is just only 5%. If you use it very correctly, you can produce 30% of the oil in place, which is a very good percentage. Okay? And remember, in this one, the SG should be less than SGC. I write this one before. So the critical gas saturation, if you reach the critical gas saturation, you are going to lose this mechanism. And instead of 30%, you just can get 5% mechanism. So remember, the condition for this one is SG should be less than that value. So this one have another names as well. Like in the literature, they call it dissolved gas, depletion gas drive, internal gas drive, all of them is the same name. So this is called dissolved gas, depletion gas, internal gas, or solution gas drive. All of them are the same. The next one, the gas cap drive. Gas number 3, gas cap drive. Gas cap drive, the recovery percentage is about 20 to 40%. 20 to 40% recovery efficiency, which is very good.
Higher than?
Yeah, higher than the oil. Okay. Reduction of pressure causes expansion of gas in gas cap, and then pushes the oil. So for this one, remember, when we are talking about the gas cap, It is divided to two parts. First, the original gas can, and the gases that moves from oil region to gas can. Remember, when the critical gas saturation is getting higher, the gas moves toward the gas can. So when we are talking gas can, this is the original or first gas can, and this is called the secondary gas can. Secondary gas can. So most of the gas goes toward the gas can and expanded and pushed away. So the recovery is between 20 to 40, and one causes presence of this mechanism causes less pressure drop or pressure decline in reservoir. Remember, the gas can act as a bubble. When you try to decrease the pressure of the reservoir, this is act as like in a car that you have like an airbag, right? You have an airbag. What is the beauty of airbag? It's avoid very hard accidents.
Crash,
exactly. This is the same thing. When you are trying to draw down very high from the reservoir, so you decrease 5 or 10 psi from the reservoir, because of the solution gas expansion and also gas cap expansion, this is decreased to 2 or 3, because this one acts as a
breaker.
Exactly, it's a breaker. Like look at here, this is your reservoir. When this is expanded, this one is going to hit the reservoir because you are producing very high. But this one acts as a survivor of the energy of the reservoir. It is like a balloon. When you try to push the balloon, it pushes backward. So that's the gas cap duty. So it's less pressure decline. Pressure decline means reduction of the or rate of the decline. We say the rate of pressure drop. Pressure drop. This is called decline. Okay, so it's avoid the very high decline of the reservoir. It's like an airbag.
Like seat belt.
Exactly, it's like that. So when you try to draw down very hard, this one acts as an airbag of the reservoir. Okay. Because it's exactly the air, right? The next mechanism, number 4, is water drive. Water drive mechanism. Water drive is very important, very powerful drive mechanism. You have a huge sea below the reservoir. When you try to, like production of oil compared to aquifer is like removing a glass of water. So you have a huge energy that compensates the pressure reduction of the reservoir. That's why we can have up to 80% recovery. So if you just check the number, 35 to 75. 35 to 75% of recovery. Very powerful.
Come from water drive.
Exactly. It comes from the energy comes from big aquifer below the reservoir.
Doctor, you said we have a lot of water inside the reservoir.
Exactly.
How much in the percentage volume between water and oil?
Oh, remember, no. You make a mistake here. Remember, we have 2 types of water. We have two. This is gas. This is oil region, and this is water region. Here we have 100% water.
100%.
In oil region, we have very small, like 2 to 3%, 15% of water, which is called the
water contact.
It's called the connate water.
Connate water.
Connate
Oxygen.
water. The current water is connected to
What?
the surface of the reservoir. It doesn't produce.
Alright.
Okay, when we are talking about the water cut, like water cut, it means water volume divided by total volume. Because of this current water, we don't have any production of the water.
Alright.
Only if the water moves from here or some water produced here, we will have a water cut. So when we are talking about aquifer, it doesn't have anything with the water inside the oil region.
Alright.
This is completely separate. So the aquifer, it doesn't. This is here we have 100% water. So we don't produce from this region at all. This is just pushes the oil. It's like an energy banner or something like that. But when your water cut is the percentage of water here inside the reservoir. And this is not too much. At the first we have 2-3%. But if the water from here comes here and comes toward the production,
become high.
then it's going to 60%, 70% of the water cut. When you are talking about the high water cut, the aquifer water comes toward the oil region, which we don't like it. In most of the reservoir, we don't have high water cuts.
No, the majority of reservoir,
Okay.
in my opinion, water or oil in the inside the reservoir.
What do you mean? Like
Oil or water?
Here we have oil plus water.
No, oil, just oil
Oil.
and water. What is the bigger? The volume, the bigger
Here.
volume here in the water?
No, sometimes we don't have any aquifer.
Oh, all right.
0%.
Yeah, this is my question.
Like we have very small reservoir that they don't have any aquifer.
Yeah,
Okay? But if we have aquifer, the aquifer is much bigger than reservoir.
come on.
Very good. The last mechanism, which is gravity. Very good. Gravity drainage. 5. Gravity drainage mechanism. This is also very powerful. Very powerful. Up to 80% mechanism. Up to 80% recovery mechanism. Yes. But nobody heard about the gravity drainage. Why? Because very time consuming. You need to wait for this recovery up to 100 years. We don't have this much time. Very time consuming. It means take too much time.
نظرا لاعتبار.
Because you need to wait, okay? You have oil here, you have like water here, and gas here. So the the heavier part of the oil should move here, and the lighter should go. This is taking years to move. So in a practical point of view, the gravity drainage takes years of the time to be active. So based on the recovery is very good, but we don't like this time-consuming part. If you wait like 20, 30 years, this recovery is going to exceed all of this mechanism. I mean, if you have a competition or musabara between these ones, this is going to be the winner. It's like a rabbit and turtle.
Turtle.
Exactly. This is where we like these ones. But if you wait, this is very, very, very slow. But at the end, the turtle is going to win. But in most of the reservoir, they don't like, and they don't go with this path. They just go with the rabbit part. Okay? So that's why. If I want to compare the mechanism together, okay? Like a graph that summarizes all of this part. A graph that summarizes all of these 5 recovery mechanisms. Solution gas drive. Solution gas. Number 3. Gas cap. Gas cap. Number 4. Water drive. And gravity. Gravity mechanism. Then the graph are like that. I want to compare. Remember, this is number 1. Number two is like this. At the first, all of the mechanisms are the same. But after a while, the difference started. Number two. Number three. Exactly the same. Number three. Number four. And number five. So number four is not like this because it's drive mechanism is like this. It doesn't come to down because the energy of aquifer will be here. And number five, which is the last one, is exactly the same. And number five. So if you look at these ones, number four, which is the water drive, the amount of the pressure doesn't come very much below. So because you have a very big, like C, it's going to compensate for the energy loss that you have by the production. But for the first one, which is the rock and fluid, remember, it decreases very fast. But the maximum recovery you can get is here, very small recovery. I told you before. For the second one, starting at the same, at the first, all the mechanisms, they have the same. So, what is the best practical work that you can do? It's a combination of all. So, in the real reservoir, combination of all mechanisms recommended.
Doctor, in the first time, what is in the normal situation?
Okay.
What we are doing in the first time in these mechanisms?
Can you explain? Sorry, can you repeat your question?
Okay. If we have the normal reservoir.
At the first, we have the rock and fluid up to here.
Sure. All right.
Then we switch to the solution gas.
All right.
We have always the water drive because the water is there. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Okay. And for the gas cap, we have always there. So it's a combination of these ones.
Easy way.
The easy way, I think we have all of these ones. The easy way is to manage between these two. The only one that it's very critical is the solution gas drive.
High cost way.
Or based on the cost,
Yeah.
this one doesn't have any cost. Most of them, they don't have any cost. The only one that is time consuming. The other one is the natural mechanism.
Time is money.
Exactly. So this one, I don't recommend this one because I told you, you need to wait like.
But it's the best way.
No, gas cap and water drive I recommend. So most of the project that they do, they inject the gas to the gas cap and they inject the water to the aquifer. And they don't do anything with the reservoir. So here, like this is inside the reservoir. I very like to use these ones, but I can inject gas to here and inject water to the aquifer.
In the same time?
Exactly, in the same time, yes. So then keep the energy of the reservoir at the same state. Like if you lose by production 1 psi, you compensate the 1 psi by injecting the gas and injecting the water.
All right.
Diffusion, convection, diffusion, imbibition, block to block interaction, interaction. Okay, these are another mechanism. Okay, at the first, we didn't do any production from the reservoir. This is one called the original gas oil contact. Original water oil contact. This is the gas region, this is oil region, and this is the water region. So based on the region, everything is the same. We have the same region. During the time, remember, I told you the water oil contact and the gas oil contact is coming down. Here, and this one comes up. So, this area is called gas invaded zone. invaded
مخزون.
zone. And this is the water invaded zone. So it means that the gas attacks to the area of the oil region. Water attacked here, invaded, occupied.
Occupier.
Like the Israeli occupied
Gaza.
Palestine.
Yeah.
Okay? So the gas occupied the whole region. So when it's occupied, it means that we are here. Okay, does it mean that we have 100% of the gas here or not? No. No. We don't have 100%. Inside there, like these blocks, these fractures, we have a fracture region, we have matrix region. Inside the fracture region, it's fully occupied with the gas, 100% of the gas. What's in there inside the matrix? We have oil plus water. At the first, at the original state, okay, original, okay, first before going to original, again, remember we don't have these two places. Here, we have 100%. We have the gas plus connate water. Is it right? Because this is the reservoir. At the first, the water existed because most of these sediments comes from the water, so you have some connate water inside the reservoir. Remember? For example, you have 10% connate plus 90% gas. What about oil region? It's the same. We have oil plus connate water. How about the water region at the first? 100% water. This is called the initial saturation of the natural differential reservoir. After a while, the saturation will change. Here it stays the same. How about these ones? This is in this region, you have gas plus oil plus water. Is it right? Because you have connate water, the gas invaded, and oil that exists inside the matrix. Inside the matrix, you have oil. Is it right?
Yeah.
Because when you are producing from naturally fractured reservoir, you are depleting just the piping system. You don't deplete the matrix section. Is it right? Or
Okay.
not?
Because piping system, it's come.
Exactly. So you produce the oil from here, but not oil from the inside of the matrix.
All right.
Okay? It's the same here. So here you have water plus oil, water plus oil. So the water, for example, is okay, just write water plus oil. And here you have oil plus connate water.
Like a mixer.
I'm going to make a zoom here. A very important concept. I make a zoom here and I draw it here. You have two big blocks here. Inside the water invaded zone, I show the water by blue. So the water fills all of this area. Because it's invaded zone, right? It fills the gaps, the pipes, okay? But inside, you have oil. Why we have inside the oil? Because oil didn't have the time to produce. It's like a sponge. You put some pipe between the sponges and make a vacuum. So the oil comes out of the pipes, but from inside this sponge, you will have some oil. It's the same as a sponge. So the water comes up and fill the fractures, but the matrix is contained oil. We have the same thing here. Make a zoom here. I have two blocks. So here, you fill the gaps or the pipe by gas. This is gas. But inside the blocks, I have oil. Because oil didn't produce very fast. So it means it's getting mahsoor by gases, and here mahsoor by water. Then how you produce these ones is the discussion for the next week, which we should wait.
Second recovery.
No, it's not secondary. It's called imbibition. Okay, here
Division.
water should go inside this block and push the oil out of it.
Like a wash.
Exactly. Exactly. Did you remember in the rocket fluid properties, we had Ammut experiment. Did you have Ammut experiment?
No.
I tell you. The Ammut experiment is it's a core plug inside the water. This is water. Up to where? Okay. If you wash the dishes in the house, you will understand this. Remember that you have an oily dishes.
Yeah.
One good technique, which is time consuming, is put some hot water inside that ones and wait. So the hot water is going to displace the oil toward the top.
Yeah.
Same thing happened here. So this is saturated with the oil. It's 100% oil inside this core. And you put the water here. The water penetrates inside these ones and push the oil out. So the level of the water comes down to here, but the oil come and stay on top of these ones. Remember, the volume doesn't change because the amount that water goes inside the core, the amount of the ladies use this very much because when you have a dishes with the oil, if you put hot water, the hot water is going to displace the oily stuff toward the surface and replace with the oil. It's called the imbibition.
Imbibition.
Because originally all the dishes like the water, they don't like the oil, right? Most of the dishes, when you put some salt, they're getting water wet. Exactly, we have the same situation inside the porous media. Most of the rock are water wet. And during the time, they're getting oil wet. But if you put some water around it, the water moves inside and produces oil. Question?
Procedure in laboratory
Exactly.
done every result.
Exactly, it's exactly as the reservoir. So this is the block. This one is the block of the reservoir. This is the block of the reservoir that you put it here. And look at here. You have water here. You have the water. You're simulating the reservoir conditions.
In a small way.
Exactly, the smaller one. So the water imbibe. It's called imbibe. Imbibe the water and spit out the oil.
Split out.
Water, oil. Okay? So this is the very simple mechanism which is called here. It's called imbibing the water. But here we have different situations. The process seems to be the same, but it's different. Here, we have oil here, we have gas here. In previous one, we had water here and oil here. Because the rock, they like the water, it's called the water wet.
Water wet.
Here, the block doesn't like, because the gas is always non-wet. The rock doesn't like the gas at all. Now, how they displace the oil here? In principle, because the water like it, by the capillary tubes, they absorb the water, they give the oil. But here it's different. Here, you have a gas, and gas doesn't go inside these ones. You need to find another recovery technique to recover these ones. So when you are talking about the water invaded zone and gas invaded zone, it's invaded of the water inside the fracture, but not inside the matrix. In naturally fractured reservoir, most of the oils are inside the matrix. Remember, I told you before. So when you deplete or remove the oil from these ones, you just produce 5%. And still, 95% of the oil is inside the matrix. So you need to use that 5 or 4 mechanism here to produce more oil. I will display this part later. Any questions?
Inshallah. Thank you.
Moves up
Convection. Heat transfer.
and cold air comes down. This is called convection, which means when you are in the room, the colder part is in down and warmer air is going. But it's called Like here, if this one getting cold, so now your stove or heater is here and generate heat here, right?
Yeah.
When you generate the heat here, you are getting the air lighter, right? So the lighter air goes up, this one comes down. So this is going to move like that. Is it right? This is called hamraft. In Persian or convection or integral, I don't know.
انتقال. Transfer the heat.
Transfer the heat transfer. So we have the same thing inside the reservoir, but in different concept. Okay. In reservoir, in naturally fractured reservoir, remember it was like this. Always that I'm showing the reservoir like this, it's going to image the reservoir like that. Now, let's see how heat transfer happens inside the reservoir. And here is your well. When your pressure drops, the gas bubbles comes out of the oil. If you have a the droplet of oil, it has some gases or light materials. If the light material comes out of the oil, what happens? These ones get heavier. Is it right? صغير, getting صغير here. Because the gas goes out, the lighter parts goes out, so and the heavier part, exactly. So this one is moving down. The lighter parts goes up. We have the same situation here. The lighter parts go to the gasket, the heavier part comes down. And we have some kind of movement inside the reservoir. Always lighter material goes up, heavier parts comes up. This is called hamra. Or what is the result of that? It's called the mixing inside the reservoir. I explained this one before, right? I explained this one.
Like a mixer.
Exactly. When I explaining the difference between the naturally fractured reservoir and ordinary reservoir, I explained this one.
Yeah.
So we have a mixing. Here we have mixing of air. So we have here mixing of fluids. Because this is always happens. So this one's getting heavier, comes down. So the lighter goes up. And this is continued. So what is the reason? It's getting a homogenized fluid.
Homogeneous fluid.
Exactly, inside the reservoir. So when you have a homogeneous fluid inside the reservoir, what is the result? It is that we don't have, if you take a sample from here and here, you don't have any difference. Remember I told you before, the properties of the oil doesn't have any difference in up of the reservoir and down of the reservoir. This was in the first section, first presentation that I did. So this is called the convection in French, and convection in naturally fractured. So you have always mixing. Here we have, because of the density, here also we have by the density. So here we have movement of the oil up and down. Here we have movement of air up and down. But the result is the same. What is the result here? At the end, all this room getting the same temperature.
متعادل.
Exactly, متعادل. Here we have same component properties. It means that the composition of the oil is the same here and here. Because you have a mixing inside the reservoir. It's called the natural mixing. Convection in naturally fractured reservoir is natural mixing. So the result is having same components.
Same properties.
Components in all part of reservoir. This is called the convection. How it helps to the production of the oil? When you have a mixing of the oil or mixing of the component of the oil, so then if you have a heavier part here, it moves down and the lighter goes up. And always you have a very same oil quality. Sometimes in the compound that you are working, you produce the oil, at the surface they add some materials to make the oil with the same quality. But in the natural fracture reservoir, naturally we have the same properties, material, by mixing of the systems. This is helping to the quality of the oil that we are producing. So this is convection and so here we have convection of the oil, getting like the same temperature everywhere, but here we have the same component in all depths of the reservoir.
Doctor, if we have the oil region and shale region, after that oil region and shale region,
If you
it's
have
don't
this,
happen
no,
this.
no, we don't have mixing.
All right.
No, this is for the that you have this piping system.
Piping system.
No. Okay, remember, here inside the matrix nothing happens. Everything that happens is inside this piping system.
Yeah, I know
If
that.
you close the piping system, you don't have convection.
Okay.
Because in ordinary reservoir we didn't have the convection.
The same
system. Exactly. Because, okay, you can write here, it's because of pipe, because of the fractures. So the convection happens
Because piping system.
because of fractures.
Fractures.
Because of fractures. Piping system I gave you to understand.
Yes.
It's not, we don't have piping system. We have fractures, which is connected fractures.
The same concept.
Exactly, same concept. But piping, don't say piping, we don't have piping there.
All right.
Because some people they say, well, where is your piping? How did you do that? Who sent like the person down there to make the piping? In new technology, actually, in new technologies,
You can
it's called
make
hydraulic fracture.
yeah make a fraction
Exactly,
for
making
it.
fractures. Okay, and even they put some kind of advanced liner system, which is exactly as a pipe down there.
Oh.
You can close and open the pipe. But we just talking about the natural fracture system.
All right.
So we don't have piping, but you can put also even some pipe down there. Like remember, here this is the horizontal way. Horizontal way, you have a piping here. Then you can a piping system here like this. It's called the fishbone completion.
Fishbone.
Like sandwich.
السمك.
Exactly. Like the bones of the
عظم السمك.
Exactly. This is the bones, and you make this one like very good completion. Like you have a very good piping system down there because it helps you to produce more. Let's go for inhibition and finish today. What is inhibition? Inhibition, I explained about here, but more explanation comes here.
ما شرح الديفيوجن.
Diffusion, you know it. Diffusion is very easy. Diffusion is like moving or diffusing a component of the oil to another sections. That's called diffusion. Did you have the mass transfer?
Mass transfer. We take it.
Exactly, it's the same.
The same.
Diffusion is not very important. Okay. Is that the person?
No.
Inhibition.
Inhibition.
Inhibition. Can somebody see what is inhibition in Arabic means?
No.
I don't know.
لا اي لا انا اعرف هذا.
First of all, inhibition is displacing
استمحضار هيك شيء.
non-wet by a wet material. Okay, what is non-wet material? Assume that you have a dishes.
Ambitions.
Dishes. I mean that
Dishes,
washes
yeah.
dishes, like some dish inside this. Okay. Sini means in Arabic.
Sini نفس الشيء.
Exactly. Like you put some chai.
Chai.
This is sini. If you put water on that, what happens? This is sini. If you put water on that, what's happened to the water? It fill all the surface, right?
Yeah.
it's feel on the surface, right? Like if you put water on the ceiling, it feel. Okay. How about putting some grease on that ceiling? Don't do that because your wife is going to kill you. But if you put the grease here or oil here, it's like that. Is it right?
Right.
Why? Why the water spread? The water spread here. Spread. Exactly. In the shower. And the oil or grease doesn't spread. Why?
Because the viscosity.
No, viscosity. The viscosity of oil is less than. Sometimes it is some.
From water.
No, it's not viscosity. No.
Is it different density?
No.
Again, repeat the question.
Repeat the question. You have the ceiling.
We have seen it.
You have ceiling.
The oil
Some water inside.
spread all
Spray, exactly. Putting some oil is like that. And
Okay.
it's like droplets. Separated from each other.
surface station.
Surface station. Surface station is good. But surface station we connect it to another concept, which is called wettability.
Weightability. Yeah. تبللية.
The ceiling like water, but doesn't like oil.
Oh.
It's called the water with surface. Okay?
Mm.
And it's not oil with surface.
Oh,
We
surface.
have the same thing in the reservoir.
Okay.
Because of the nature of the reservoir, most of the reservoir are water wet. It means they like water, but they don't like oil. And imbibition happens or uses these properties. Remember, when I tell you the water invaded zone, the water comes around this block, and the oil is mahsur inside of this block. Because these ones, remember we have some capillary tubes here. The capillary tubes like water, so they absorb the water from all sides. Because the water comes inside them, it should push the oil out.
Mm.
Oil from all sides. This is called imbibition.
Imbibition.
Why? Because the surface, it like water, which is water wet, and it's not oil wet. So, displacing the oil, which is non-wet, by the water, which is a wet component, it's called imbibition. During the war between Iran and Iraq, they attacked to the Iranian fields. So we had some natural fracture fields, and the water oil contact and gas oil contact, and oil, water oil contact was in these situations. Because of the attack to the Iranian fields, they closed the fields.
Okay.
And because of this closing, the imbibition happens in these ones. So when the imbibition happens, the oil come out of these matrices. So when the oil comes here, so the level of the water oil contact moves down because the volume of oil increases. Because of the oil comes out, water goes in. So the level of water goes down, and the region of the pure oil increases. Why? Because this phenomenon is time consuming. By attacking to this field, when they close the field, they give some time to these blocks to absorb the water
And recovery.
and,
the same time.
and they increase the recovery by 20%. So one of the mechanism that we don't have in ordinary reservoir is called imbibition, which you displace the oil by liking water material because it likes water. It absorbs it. So when speed, the oil out of the water, it's called imbibition.
Okay.
We have also some drainage as well. So I will talk about the drainage next week, but so this inhibitions is time consuming. means that you need to close the valves for years. During the war, I think they close for 5 to 10 years. And because that they give the time, the water went inside the rocks and they take off. So after that, they saw and they measured the water on contact. They saw that the area of the oil increases, area, or the region of the oil increases. It was because of imbibition. So in natural fractal reservoir, because of the rock properties, which is it's water with rocks, so it's absorb the water and they gives the oil out. But you need to give the time. Here also is the same. This is the experiment that we simulate the imbibitions. So we put a water vat full of the oil inside these ones and let the water goes in. When the water goes in, you push the oil out of the body. So then you will deplete the core. It's called the imbibition.
Imbibition.
Understand?
Yeah, we get it.
Enough for today. Go home.
Thank you very much.